Hello, and welcome to this review of the Class 44, 45 and 46 peak locomotives. In this video we'll be focusing on the new Heljan model, the various offerings by Bachmann, and a look back at an original model from Palitoy. The BR-1 Coco 1 came in 4 different subclasses: Class 44, 45-0, 45-1, they were ETH fitted, and the Class 46. The peaks were numbered D1 to 10, which became the tops class 44, D11 to 137, which became the tops class 45, and finally D138 to 193, which all became tops class 46s. 37 of the peak locomotives were officially named. The original 10 all took their names after mountains, hence the nickname Peaks. The rest were all known as regiments, their names being taken directly from withdrawn Patriot and Royal Scot class locomotives. A number of peaks were unofficially named later on by the fitters at Tinsley and carried hand-painted names on their sides. There's even stories of nameplates having been removed at Toton and Tinsley staff painting them back on when they came in for servicing. The Heljan model looks to be mostly correct, based on what we know about the O-gauge version they released recently. We can only assume then the 001 will just be a scaled down version of the 7mm tooling, and looking at the CAD drawings here, I'd say that's what they've done. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at the other peak models you can buy and focus on what you need to do to improve them. Let's look at the models available from Mainline and Bachmann. Interestingly, the Mainline model was actually re-released by Bachmann some years after its original release, which does raise a few questions. Mainly, how did Bachmann get wrong some of the bits that Mainline actually got right? Let's look at the obvious errors. First, the size of the roof fan grille. Based on the drawings of the prototype, the Mainline one is about the correct size. However, as you can see, Bachmann's is just too small. Both of these can be corrected and improved by using Shaw Plan-etched kits. While we're looking at the roof panels, it is worth noting the handles on the opening panels alongside the roof fan grille. On the real locomotives, they are actually quite small and sit sort of down with the profile of the roof. Looking at the models, Mainline have got this about right, and they do look to be about scale. However, Bachmann on the other hand have gone for a chunky moulding, which unfortunately just doesn't look right at all. The best way to correct this, as you can see here, is to simply remove them very carefully with a saw or scalpel and then replace them with some pieces of fine wire. A small note while we're looking at the roof panels: on the first generation of Bachmann tooling, someone forgot to fit the exhaust ports. I had that problem in my model of D1, and as you can see, I fitted a scratch built one using a piece of microstrip and a small square file. The next thing to look at is the cab interior. The brake wheel is missing from the second man side in the Bachmann model, along with the porthole window and the bulkhead door, along with all the pipework and equipment boxes therein. It's a simple fix to add these things afterwards, and as you can see, it really improves the overall look of the model. While we're looking at the cabs, it's worth noting the cab window gutter shape. Please note, it is not a single arched curve. Looking closer at this photograph of an unidentified Class 46 taken at Toton, you can see it's actually 3 pieces of channel angled together. Looking here at this Mainline model, you can see how they've gone to replicate this shape, however have gone a little bit wide with the arch of the curve. Bachmann sadly have completely missed this and gone with a single arch channel, which although looks okay, is unfortunately just the wrong shape. Upon closer inspection of the Heljan CAD design, I'm happy to report it does appear as though they've got this correct, which would be nice to see on the model, as it's something that is obviously very difficult to alter once the plastic's been moulded into shape. The other main visual differences we notice between the Class 44s, 45s and 46s are as follows: the nose ends, the battery box doors, and the nose grills. The battery boxes on all Class 46s are smooth-sided and were actually fitted onto trays, On the 44s and 45s they have an embossed cross on them, and they are on a drop down with a lock and catch. Now let's take a closer look at the nose grills and also the differences between them and how you can improve them on the model. On all 10 of the Class 44s, these grills are bolted on, but on the 45s and 46s, to allow for easier access, they were converted into hinged doors with simple drop catches. Taking a closer look at the models available, Heljan straight away have got this detail correct, which is really good to see. Mainline on their original tooling for their Class 45s unfortunately got this wrong and fitted the earlier 44 style bolted on door. Again, looking at Mainline, they spotted this fact and then adjusted their tooling for the Class 46s, which as you can see here have got the correct pattern doors with hinges and catches on them. Bachmann sadly have missed this on all of their toolings, and it's something that does need to be addressed if you want to have a more accurate model of a Class 45 or 46. To correct this, first of all, the vertical rib needs to be removed as it is not fitted to the doors of the 45s or 46s. This is done by very carefully using a scalpel to cut it away and then recut each louver individually. I then use some microstrip to create the door frame. 2mm sections of brass rod are then applied to represent the locks and catches. Now the fiddly bit, cutting 3 1mm long pieces of wire to represent each of the 3 hinges on each of the doors. This is very fiddly work, but ultimately, when you look at the finished result, I think it's worth it. Now we're done with the body, we can look at what I call the real problem area. That's everything below the frames. Looking at the Heljan offering in 7mm and their upcoming 4mm Loco, it appears as though they've addressed this and have actually fitted everything that should be there. Nothing seems to be missing, which is great. Sadly, the same cannot be said for anything that's come from Bachmann. Looking closely at the old mainline tool, the biggest error here is actually the fact that they've moulded the buffer beam directly to the body and not to the end of the bogies where it should be. Thankfully, you no longer have to worry about this, as 3D printed versions of these ends can be bought from eBay and fitted relatively quickly and easily. Mine isn't 3D printed, but as you can see if you're comparing this to a before photo, it's definitely a modification that's worth the effort. Now, looking at the Bachmann one, they got the bogies correct, which is a result. However, the position where they fitted the coupling pocket is also where on the real locomotive there's an access hole. So for me, that has to be adjusted to be the correct size. All I do is remove the tension lock coupling and file the hole open so it's the correct size and roughly the right shape. It's a small modification, but overall it does improve the look of the finished model. Another way to improve the look of the model is to get rid of all the daylight gaps between the body and the bogies. This is where you find a lot of the pieces that are missing, and thankfully this is something that Heljan have addressed on their new models, as you can see here. Everything appears to have been fitted that should be. So what's actually missing from the Bachmann model? Well, the standout items are things like the lifting points, drain cock, structural bracing and all the pipe work. Some of these bits again can be sourced from Shoreplan and are a relatively simple kit to assemble. Everything else I'm afraid you have to scratch build, but it's not too bad. A little bit of plasticard, card, wire and microstrip soon gets you on your way, and eventually you have a finished model that's far better looking than what came out of the factory. Believe me, it's worth the effort. All you've got to do is spend a little bit of time, a bit of patience and do it, as you can see here. So let's end this review come how to improve video with a final look at the new releases from Heljan and Bachmann. The Bachmann reissue of their Seal Beam Peak, and obviously the new releases from Heljan, which will include Seal Beam variants. Bachmann, as you can see, have made no modifications to the tooling, and everything contains the same mistakes it did 10 years ago, up to and including solid moulded handrails on the noses rather than individually fitted ones. Heljan clearly don't have this problem according to their tooling, and I sincerely look forward to seeing their models in the shops. Just want to end this video with a couple of thank yous. Thank you to David Tinsley for allowing me to photograph his mainline peak. Thank you to Michael for building my 009 for me, which you've seen photographed in this video. To Brian at Shoreplan, thanks for manufacturing the kits, mate. Without you, this would have been a much more difficult project. And obviously thank you to you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a comment below, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.